I'm Cithryth.
I'm Draculetta.
I'm Ethelros.
And you're listening to Radio Free Tyria, the Guild Wars 2 podcast for the casual crowd. So, who are we and what is this? This is Radio Free Tyria, and the three of us have been podcasting together for the past few years now. First, we podcast about Lord of the Rings Online over at Lotro Players News, and then we also podcasted about Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 over at Guild Wars Players News. However, we decided that being part of a network wasn't really our thing, so we decided to go our own way and start a new podcast dedicated to more casual players, since we, ourselves, we're not min-maxers. We're not hardcore in any sense, but maybe how much we love the game. Me especially. I really love Guild Wars 2, you guys. I am Cithryth. I started playing in September of 2014, so about a year ago now. Listing all of my characters would take way too long. I have, I think, 13 character slots unlocked right now. I am definitely an altaholic. I have, I think, 6 characters at level 80 now? I mainly play a necromancer, but I have one character of every class, not at 80 though. There's some classes I don't have at 80. I also have some duplicates, because, again, altaholic. I love PvP, but my main passion in Guild Wars 2 is definitely 100%, without a doubt, the cosmetic system. I love the dyes, I love the armor skins, weapon skins, and pretty much my favorite thing is creating new characters, and jumping puzzles are also pretty cool.
I am Draculetta, of course. I started playing in May of 2014. I did play Guild Wars and all the expansions for Guild Wars before I played Guild Wars 2. Of course, so I'm really deep into the Guild Wars lore because it was really prominent, more prominent than it is in Guild Wars 2 in the original series of games. The lore played more of a part. So I'm kind of the lore person on the show, I guess, for better or for worse. My main is a Norn Hunter. I also play a Human Necro, and I have an Asuran Elementalist. I do have a couple other more characters, but I kind of just started them, so I haven't played them a lot. I like Cithryth. I am basically just a casual player. I dabble in PvP, but I don't really do it a lot. I mean, I do PvP for fun, and about the only time I really do it is when I'm playing with either Cithryth or Ethelros, because it's much better to PvP with friends, I think. So basically, I just do all PvE stuff, and some people, quote, and I say some people there, I'm obsessed with Felicia Day, which may or may not come out during the course of the show. We will see. And that's about it. Ethelros, what about you?
Yeah, I'm Ethelros. I started playing Guild Wars 2 in November of last year, I think. It's been a while, and I don't quite remember, but I think that was it. I initially rolled a Char Thief. That was my very first character, but I ended up deleting him around level 20 in favor of a Sylvari Mesmer, who I ended up remaking 3 times for different reasons. I got him to 80 and 100% world completion, because that's kind of one of my main things. I also have a Asura Necromancer, who I also got to 80 and 100% world completion on him. And I'm currently leveling a Char Guardian, who is around level 60. And yeah, those are my main 3 characters. I'm pretty slow making them in general. Yeah, world completion is my main thing, I guess I would say. Just sort of doing PvE solo content. I tend not to do much group content generally, unless I'm with Drac or Cithryth playing it. I do some PvP, kind of like Drac, in the sense that I'll play with people I know, because it's generally more fun that way. But I don't tend to do it much on my own. And yeah, jumping puzzles are fun and frustrating.
Indeed they are. So, what's new this past week? Well, a lot, actually. This past week we've gotten a ton of news about the game. Not least of which, is our new expansion finally got a release date, which is surprising. So, Heart of Thorns is being released October 23rd, so you have until then to pre-order the expansion, and get the perks for that if that's your kind of thing. I know Ethelros is not into pre-purchasing stuff like that. I pre-purchased it because I like extra character slots, because I'm an alcoholic. Another thing that happened this week, just a little tiny thing, like it wasn't really that big of a deal, but Guild Wars 2 went free to play. That also happened. Kind of a shock, I guess. I don't think I saw it coming. What about you guys?
Shock would be one word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like not even the slightest inclination that they were going to do this. I guess some people had sort of maybe data mined this sort of thing, and maybe it was going to happen. But for me, I don't pay too much attention to that kind of stuff. I had no clue, and to be honest, yeah, I'm still kind of questioning why they decided to go for it.
Exactly, it does not make any sense to me at all why they are doing this.
So I think it actually makes perfect sense.
Okay.
When I started playing Guild Wars 2, they had a week-long free trial, and they haven't done it since. Well, until now, kind of, I guess. And the free trial accounts had the exact same restrictions as the free player accounts do now. And so you only got 2 character slots, you only had 3 bag slots, stuff like that. It was very limited. But it was enough to get me into the game and try it, and then immediately fall in love. And I bought the game within, I think, 2 or 3 days. And so I think that's probably something that might have happened a lot during that free trial weekend. So they've been kind of looking at doing this on a longer-term basis. And so I feel like this free play thing is basically just an extended free trial system, basically, so that people can get in and demo the game, basically, and then buy the game. Because I feel like that's a lot of people are kind of iffy about buy-to-play games, because especially with Guild Wars 2, there was no free trial. Now, people can just jump in, try it. If they don't like it, oh well. But if they do like it, they can buy the game and open up everything and have it completely, unlocked. There's no subscription fee. So I think it makes sense.
Suppose. I kind of felt really that Guild Wars sort of like business model they have, it was just really good already. Like really, really good. I can't really think of a better example in MMOs, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So I guess from the perspective, point of view, if they had to, I guess they didn't. They just kind of felt like it would be better, like even better for the game for them to go this way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suppose if it works for them, it works. I'm not too concerned about other aspects that people have raised, like communities and whatnot. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the game's been free to play for nearly a week by the time we're recording this, and, I haven't really noticed any big difference. I mean, there's certainly more people around in-game, but I haven't noticed any super degradation in the community like many people claim happen when games go free to play. I mean, before free to play, there were total jerks in the game, so there's still total jerks in the game, but there's still also very, very nice people who are very helpful.
Yeah, like, we've been in free to play games before, and I think just what it comes down to is just means there are more people in the game. Mm-hmm. Pretty much always in the case of free to play games, there's just more people in general. And like, I hear the argument that because there's no barrier to entry, people are more likely to just be jerks. But there's been way too many examples of people who have paid money and, basically screw themselves by being assholes.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, there's way too many examples of that for me to really buy that argument.
I totally agree. I mean, like I said, I spent a lot of time in PvP. There is some assholes in PvP. But there's also some really nice people, and it's just a matter of percentages, really. So, free to play, there's more people, same percentage of nice people and assholes, really.
So that begs the question, then. Do you think they had to do this to get more players in? Was this a money/business decision, or was this just a way of maybe getting more players in that will probably end up buying the base game and are buying Heart of Thorns when it comes out?
I think it's the second one.
I suppose it also makes sense in the context of when they were talking about how they wanted to do expansions and stuff in the future. It kind of makes it easier, I suppose, in the sense of you can play the game for free, and then if you want to go unlock the rest of this stuff, you just buy Guild Wars 2, which includes everything else that they're going to put out, like the current game or Heart of Thorns or whatever expansion they put in the future. It's just that one thing that they buy. So you won't have the situation they had earlier this year where people bought the game and then they have to buy the expansion, and it's really awkward. So I guess in the long term, maybe this is more convenient for them and less confusing for players, maybe.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because buying Heart of Thorns now, you get the base game. And they did say that they wanted it to be as simple as possible for new players so that they don't have to be like, oh, which expansion should I buy? Like, I know even today in Lord of the Rings Online, there's been, 4 or 5 expansions. And you always see people being like, I don't know which expansion to buy next. Like, should I bother buying this expansion? Which should I do? But with Guild Wars 2, they're trying to just be like, you just buy this one thing and that's it. And then you can play.
Which, that makes sense doing it that way. And now I can kind of see why they did what they did, before with that whole cluster that
there was
came up
quite a hullabaloo.
With, when they said, okay, well, if you buy Heart of Thorns, you're going to get the base game. And it's like, but I already have the base game. Well, see, now it makes sense that for free-to-play people, that would be the best way to do it. You just buy the Heart of Thorns, you're getting, the core Guild Wars as well, or Guild Wars 2, I should say, as well, and you're getting an expansion. So that makes sense now why they did it that way.
Yep.
I don't know why they waited so long, because they would have had to known they were doing this probably back then when all of that happened.
Well, there is a lot of questions about why they waited so long, why they waited so long to tell us when the release date for Heart of Thorns is, why they waited for
let's be honest. I mean, this whole expansion pack has just been one giant screw up after screw up. In my opinion, I mean,
marketing wise, I definitely agree.
Yes, exactly.
Content wise, I think it looks amazing.
I was about to clarify that and say marketing. They really, really have screwed up on marketing.
That actually brings up that brings up something else that I wanted to talk about this episode, and that's data mining. And spoilers generally. Basically, so, not this past week, but I guess the week before, one of the famous Guild Wars 2 YouTube people, Bog Otter, did a video on his opinions on data mining. And this past week and a half, it's been really, really relevant because they've just had so many issues. So, last week, they had this big announcement at PAX planned, right? And this announcement at PAX was when they were going to announce when Heart of Thorns was going to launch. They were going to announce their challenging group content, which is raids, which I'm sure we'll get to in a bit once I'm done talking about data mining. They were going to announce free-to-play, and so they were going to announce all that stuff. But first, they've just had all these issues with information getting leaked. So IGN was supposed to wait, I guess, for this, for this PAX announcement. But obviously somebody tried to schedule a tweet about raids being a thing and about the game going free to play, but they messed up and accidentally published the tweet instead of scheduling it. And so everybody saw this tweet and was like, oh my gosh. So the cat was kind of out of the bag about that before the PAX announcement, which I'm sure ArenaNet was not pleased about. Go ahead. What? Okay.
Well, I'll wait to rage until you get done.
Then another thing that happened was before this PAX stream, this PAX announcement. There's this thing you can do on Twitter where you can pay to have a tweet promoted, and basically you pay. It's basically it's like Facebook at post promoting. You pay to get more reach or whatever, and you can schedule a certain time for it to go out on Twitter. And apparently it seems like ArenaNet tried to do that for a tweet announcing the Heart of Thorns launch date of October 23rd. However, apparently when you Google search for something about Guild Wars 2 release date or like their Twitter page or something, somebody was Google searching and they were able to find this tweet before it was actually supposed to be seeable by the public. And this user then got the link to the tweet from searching it, and they linked the tweet to Dolphy, who runs a big fan site and guide site, Matt Visual, Wooden Potatoes, I think That Shaman, who is a big data miner in the community. And so then these people were like, oh, I didn't see this tweet. And so then they all started tweeting it. So the Heart of Thorns October 23rd launch date announcement also got leaked a few days before their announcement. So all the things that they were going to have this big fanfare announcement about at PAX all got leaked beforehand. This past week, also, somebody data mined the Druid concept art because they've been releasing this concept art a week before announcing the new elite specs for each class. And so the Druid concept art got leaked. So they've just had so much information leaked before they intended it to. So their marketing team must just be in tears. I feel like. But yeah, I don't know why they waited so long in the first place. And so it kind of feels like the data mining, like, I don't know, I feel like people wouldn't be as interested in data mining all of this info and trying to leak all this info if they had told us sooner when when the release date is. It seems weird that they've waited this long.
Yeah, like, it's 2 months, roughly,
yeah,
till the expansion comes out. That's way too late in the game to kind of tell people that. And I don't see a reason, unless they weren't confident of when the game will be ready to launch, which raises kind of concerns of its own if that is the case.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. The thing with like this kind of data mining, you can't stop people from doing it, generally.
Right. Yep.
And you could say it's in the player's interest to know these things, I guess. Especially if, the marketing team isn't telling you things. And then considering that there is the pre-order up, which means people are paying money for stuff we don't know everything about yet, you could argue that this is good because people need to know what they're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I guess you could consider it kind of unsporting, not only to the people who work at RealNet, who are having stuff they're working on and probably very passionate about being spoiled because they want to tell people what's going on, but also people who aren't interested in being that spoiled before it's ready. They just want to experience it for themselves, and this kind of ruins it if you happen to just stumble upon these things.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what Bogotter was talking about in his video. Like, he generally is the kind of person who wants to avoid spoilers, but as a big YouTube personality who's kind of, people expect him to talk about all the news and whatever, like, he kind of has, and he runs a big guild, so he kind of has to know these things in advance so that, he can be informed about stuff. At the same time, other people are, because, it's kind of like, other people are informed about this and they're talking about this, but if you're not, it kind of sets you back, kind of thing. What do you think about data mining, Drac?
Okay.
Here we go.
Let's get down to it. Here we go. The data mining thing I'm okay with because it happens all the time in about every game. I kind of look at it kind of like I look at, not that I'm saying it's the right thing to do, but with like copy protections, people are going to break your copy protection. Mm-hmm. Just like with data mining, people are going to get into your game and they're going to figure out how your database stores the information, and they're going to extract that information out. It's just what people do. It's human nature. People want to know everything, and they want to know stuff that they're not supposed to know. So data mining, I'm cool with. It's kind of like with other spoilers for like TV shows or whatever. You're going to get spoiled, and nobody's forcing you to read what these data miners are finding out.
Yeah,
that's just that's my take on it. So I'm cool with the data mining. Okay, now let's talk about the other. Did you have something, Ethelros? You sounded like you were getting ready to.
I was just going to make a small one of. You can avoid it when it's directly from the data miners, but then when people are in-game discussing that sort of stuff, I guess it kind of gets a bit more complicated.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about
whenever that shaman data mines something and posts it to Reddit, there's usually the little item codes that you can put into chat, and you always see people posting those little item codes into chat and linking the new items that aren't actually in the game yet.
Yeah, so. I mean, even in that case, though, I guess I think Draculetta is probably right in the sense it's just jerks will be jerks. You can't stop it.
Yeah, that's
true. You kind of just expect that sort of stuff. So
yeah, good points.
Now, the Twitter thing.
Okay.
Okay, I have a fairly extensive IT background. I've worked in IT for almost 17 years now.
Right.
So I can see, if you pay to do a tweet, technically it's on the server, so Google's search spiders and indexers will probably grab that early. Okay, I buy that. That's possible. It could happen.
You don't believe the IGN thing?
The whole IGN thing, no. That was totally planned, and that was to get, quote-unquote, hype building up for the PAX announcement.
I don't think so, because here, after the IGN slip-up, they deleted their tweet, and then ArenaNet on their Guild Wars 2 Twitter, I don't remember what the actual tweet was about, but they're like, come watch this point of interest stream, or something totally unrelated, or, we're still excited about PAX, or whatever. And then attached to the tweet was an image of a Skrit wearing a IGN t-shirt, and, obviously, if you've interacted with Skrit in-game, you know that, the stereotype is that Skrit are just stupid and idiots and dumb. So...
I think... I know when I was told about that, I'm not going to speculate on whether I think it was planned or not. I'm not sure. But that, sort of reaction seems too playful to be a kind of a serious
That's exactly
message from a games company to a gaming site.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Bullshit on the whole thing.
IGN in the past has actually done dumb stuff like this before, though. They have had exclusive, release announcements for Guild Wars 2 in the past couple of months, and they frequently post incorrect information in those articles, and then developers have to come back and be like, actually, this article is wrong, this piece of information is not correct. Specifically, I remember they got the Scoop or whatever to post about masteries first, and they said, it'll take the same amount of time it takes to level a character from 1 to 80 to complete a mastery track or whatever. And then Colin Johansson was like, I have no idea where they got that information. That is not correct at all. So IGN, not super great at Guild Wars 2 information, because they are not super great at PC games generally. I would not put it past them to screw it up. And honestly, I do social media stuff for a living, and I have certainly posted tweets and Facebook messages when I meant to click the schedule button instead of post, so I can see it happening.
Oh, I'm not saying it can't happen, because absolutely it can happen.
Yeah.
The whole thing just smelled really fishy to me.
Well, I guess we'll just have to disagree, because I don't think it was a calculated move. But whatever. Conspiracy theories!
That's right. Break out your tinfoil hats.
Yeah. Social media tinfoil. Anyway, another thing they announced at PAX was raids. I know the three of us aren't super jazzed on that. Just because, raids are a lot of work, first of all. The raids in Guild Wars 2, they are going to be 10-person raids, and based on their announcement, they're going to be trying to kind of, they said, we know people have a lot of issues with raids, we're trying to minimize the headaches people usually associate with raids, there's only going to be 10 people, so it's not a ton of people, there's not going to be any quote-unquote, attunement to getting into a raid. If you don't know what that means, basically a lot of MMOs have this kind of system in place, so you have to grind out a certain type of item or a certain passive attribute or whatever before you can even get into the raids themselves. That's not going to be the thing. You're just going to be able to get into the raid if you have 10 people, you go in, the end. And so they're going to try to limit that. They're also, because, Guild Wars 2, the whole kind of appeal of Guild Wars 2 is that there's no holy trinity of DPS, tank, and healing, they are not going to have specific roles like that in the raid, so you don't have to wait around for a healer, or, our tank's gone, what are we going to do tonight, whatever. You're just going to be able to go in and play. So, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what they're like. It sounds promising, but I'm only very cautiously optimistic about it, because still, 10 people is still a lot of people. It can be a hassle sometimes to get a dungeon group together of 5 people.
Yeah, like I'm gonna admit I'm biased in that I don't really do raids. I maybe did a few when I was playing Lotro, and even then they weren't like I wasn't super hyped for them.
Hmm.
I'm just not convinced that there's really a player base for like these big raids anymore, like they used to have. Was it like 24-person raids back
Oh,
in
yeah.
like years back? I just don't. I'm not convinced that that's really what most, like the majority of MMO players are kind of into.
No,
And like
certainly not.
even with the announcement of the raids, there didn't seem to be a huge ton of hype from like at least from a lot of what I've seen. It's just I'm just not convinced that there's that many people who actually do these or like would do these a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know the three of us have seen statistics for other games where the amount of people who do raid content, like multi-group raid content, is sub 10% of the entire game's population. So I don't know if that's gonna. Obviously, we don't know because they haven't had raids in this game before. We don't know if that's gonna be a thing. But I feel like the majority of players in any game are casual players. Maybe play solo or maybe play with one or two friends. I feel like most people aren't into this kind of content, but the people who are into this kind of content, they certainly exist, and so I don't know. I guess we'll see. I feel like maybe 10 people is a good kind of middle ground. It's not the huge, massive raids like you're talking about, like 24 people. 10 is just two groups put together. I see more. There's usually like more than 10 people in my lane in the Silver Wastes when we do the Silver Wastes events. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I suppose it just comes down to how accessible they make them. Because they mentioned about not having near a specific role requirement, but you know how like people are. They're gonna find what works the 100% most optimal, and they're gonna have really strict requirements for it. Probably.
I know we've talked about this before recording before, but I know like Guild Wars 2. What appealed to me getting into it was there's no. Like, you can build your character anyway. There's no, you have to be a healer. You have to be CC. You have to be a tank. Whatever. You can do whatever kind of build you want. If you want to do condition damage over time kind of stuff, go for it. If you want to work on support, go for it. Like, there's so many different build compositions that you can do that it's really awesome, and I love the variety available in that. But the player base tries to kind of enforce this meta viableness, like, you have to build your character this way, you have to go full out DPS, or you're not viable in dungeons. And I feel like that's going to happen with raids as well. You're not going to just be able to do whatever build you want. You're going to be, there's going to be people like, you're not in full berserker stat gear, so we don't want you in our group. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, even like in the example that it's not like that, where you can just bring anything you want and it'll work. Is that what people want from raids? Because from what I've seen from a lot of raids, they want super challenging, the quote-unquote challenging group content.
Right.
If like you can bring anything you want and do it, that doesn't sound like something that will be super challenging group content.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
If they do that way, then the raid would be kind of pointless, since they're being catered to people who already have the content that they do, and then the people who wanted the raids to be super challenging have nothing to do still.
That is definitely a good point. I mean, I'm not super into challenging group content. I have a hard enough time with the living story, and I know you do as well, Ethelros.
So that brings up the curmudgeon in me that's saying, okay, this raid comes out. It'll be out for one day. How many of the quote-unquote raid player base is going to be complaining to the devs, well, this is way too easy, we need it harder?
I feel like there's always going to be people like that. There's always going to be people who say, none of this is hard enough. I
have all these legendary weapons and this set of armor, and I could have ran this in noob gear, and it would have been easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also on the other side, you got people asking for it to be more accessible. And it's impossible to have it be both very difficult and have any kind of combination of classes or builds suitable to doing it. You can't do both.
I really feel like I'm being really negative here today, but did Guild Wars 2 really need raids to begin with? I'm not seeing why the game even needed them.
I don't think so. I think they could have maybe worked on updating the dungeons that they have currently, adding more dungeons
Exactly.
maybe. I mean, I thought that the world bosses, those are basically a giant open world raid. And
Exactly. Just
the
add
Silver
some
Waste
more world
events,
bosses. Yeah.
those are all basically open world raids that you don't actually have to be in a group to do. But you still need to coordinate. Or like, especially I'm thinking about Tequaddle. He's a level 66 world boss, but you need to have immense amounts of coordination in map chat to get it to be successful. Otherwise it fails. That is basically a very, very large raid. You just don't need to actually be in a group to do it. But it kind of fulfills all the same requirements. You get the fat loot at the end, and you have very specific jobs to do. I don't know, I just thought maybe we'd get more world bosses.
Yeah, or like fractals, because they're reworking them. Like
Right.
they put out articles a while back saying that they're making the easier versions of it easier, so it's more accessible to people just starting, and then they have higher tiers. So the people who want the really tough, challenging Dark Souls level crap, they can have that, because apparently the hardest versions aren't quite difficult enough. So, lower lows and higher highs seem pretty suitable, and if that's kind of stuff that goes on, you'd think that would be pretty good for it. I'm not convinced that raid's really required either, to be honest.
Yep.
Especially given presumably other new group content coming with the expansion that we either haven't been told about, is just in like the story or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They said that they're also going to be releasing a wing of the raid a month after Heart of Thorns releases. So they're going to be releasing stuff for this raid apparently fairly frequently. So, I mean, I feel like that'll at least kind of sate the needs of the people who kind of burn through content really, really quickly. So there's that, I guess. But I feel like that's about all I have to say about raids. I mean, we'll have to see how they turn out. But, in other news, this weekend, I mean, by the time this podcast is going to be released Monday morning, so by the time that happens, the beta weekend will be over. But, as we're recording, the beta weekend just started. This weekend from September 4th to the 6th is a beta weekend, so we're going to have access to nearly all of the elite specializations for classes except for the Ranger and the Engineer. I'm going to be streaming on our Twitch channel throughout the weekend with, the elite specializations and obviously some PvP, because I love PvP, and the Stronghold PvP map is going to be on this weekend, and it's my favorite, and it's amazing. So you won't, if you're listening to this podcast, you can go to our Twitch channel, and the recorded videos of those streams will be there. Another event is happening next weekend, September 10th to the 13th. World v. World, not World v. World, sorry. September 10th to the 13th, in the open world in Tyria and stuff, we are going to be seeing Mordrim coming in and attacking various places throughout Tyria. So basically, Kessex Hills, Diessa Plateau, and Brisbane Wildlands. There's going to be waves of Mordrim that come through and attack. It's going to be it's this open world event kind of thing. I guess they did stuff like this frequently for Living Story Season 1. I didn't play then, so I don't know. But it should be pretty interesting, and there's going to be a little tracker thing on the right-hand side of your screen that tells you when a Mordrim attack is happening. So keep your eye out for that. I don't know what kind of rewards they are going to have. They said that you'll be able to get these Mordrim blooms that drop from the Mordrim, and the Dermond Priory is seeking these blooms, and you'll be able to turn them in for rewards, which makes sense. This week they also had a World v. World guild objective claiming blog post to discuss how guilds can claim objectives in World v. World. I don't do World v. World, so I didn't really understand this article. But what I took away from it is that going forward in Heart of Thorns, guilds will be able to kind of do World v. World as a guild, and there's going to be a new UI for claiming different objectives like keeps and towers and stuff, and also upgrading them. So if you're into World v. World, there will be a link in the show notes to this article. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't do World v. World, so this is kind of just over my head. And then finally, I think the last bit of news really is that the anniversary sales are still going on. They've been doing 21 days of sales because Guild Wars 2 is 3 years old now. And that's pretty cool. Some of the sales have been kind of meh, though. Not super duper interesting. They're different every day. I know Ethelros was pleased that they brought the black and white feathered wings back to the gem store.
Yeah, because those aren't overused at all.
And I certainly don't have any wings. No siree. No wings for me.
Especially Char. I'm just going to say it. If you have a Char, don't put wings on them, please. It
Put
looks
wings
ridiculous.
on your Char. Don't listen to him. You can put wings on your beautiful fairy Char if you want to. Speaking of beautiful fairy Char, guess what I did this week?
Really?
Really? So I got my thief Char to level 80. He's not a fairy. He doesn't have any wings yet. But he is all dressed in rainbow colors, and his hair is purple. And
Of course it is.
He's just a big pile of rainbow. And I'll tell you why I made a rainbow thief. They announced the Daredevil specialization for thieves last week, and so if a thief is spec'd into Daredevil, they will be able to wield a staff. So my theory is, I will make the most rainbow thief possible. I will get this thief and dress him all in rainbow. I will use the short bow, because thieves can use short bow, and I will get the legendary short bow called the Dreamer, which looks like a pink and purple unicorn and shoots unicorns with rainbows. That's the arrows that it shoots. And then I will also wield a staff and use the legendary staff Bifrost, which is like this big white pearly spire with like rainbows all over it. So that's gonna happen. Also, speaking of data mining, they data mined these like fairy wings, these like gossamer looking like dragonfly-y fairy wings, and so I'm totally gonna get those. Yeah, I know. I'm garbage. It's okay though.
We all have to have our thing. It's okay.
Speaking of things, Drac, how's Felicia Day doing?
Good. Her book is awesome. I finished that this week.
Oh yeah. Is it good?
Yes, very much so. I have not laughed so hard reading a book in I don't know how long.
Huh. I still,
So, yes.
I do want to read it. I do like Felicia Day. Not on the same level you do, Drac, but I think she's a pretty cool lady.
Then again, I've been accused of being obsessed by several people. I don't know if I would quite use the word obsessed, but okay.
I would.
Of course you would. Of course.
Did you do anything else this week?
Yeah, my Elementalist got to level 63, and I have been saving my 50 and 60 personal stories for when I hit 60, so I could do the 50 and 60 PS together, since, you don't have a lot to do in that range of personal stories, so now I'm going to have, 2 chunks to do, so I will probably do that this week, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. What did you get up to this week, Ethelros?
Mainly leveling my Chardian. I believe he's around level 62 after our random killing stuff session, I think yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, the three of us got together and we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna work on leveling our characters, but we mostly just kind of randomly ran around Mount Maelstrom and talking and dying a lot.
Yeah, because we were quite under-leveled for where we were.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were.
Aside from that bit, I did finish, I think it was 2 zones. One was Iron Marches, level 50 Char area, and the other, I think, was... Oh yes, it was Harathi Hinterlands, that delightful zone that's got centaurs and
more centaurs.
And more centaurs.
And also centaurs, by the way. They have centaurs too.
So, do they have centaurs, though?
You'd be surprised to know that they do. They do have centaurs.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Needless to say, it's not a very fun zone to complete, but I did it for the 3rd time.
You're crazy.
It's a bad zone.
It is. It is a bad zone. I'm not a fan.
But hey, I can do Claw Island now. I'm
Yay.
level 60 plus, so I'm looking forward to doing that, because I haven't ran that bit of the personal story since the changes they did, I think a couple of months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Where they brought back a lot of stuff. And,
yeah. And they
So
kind of
updated
it a bit. Yeah, That should be good.
Yep.
Yeah. I also did some PvP this week. It was okay. I had some good matches. I was trying to learn how to PvP on my Thief, because I figured I have a level 81 now. I should probably learn how to play it. In case you didn't know, Ethelros hates thieves.
Hate is probably kind of a light way of putting it, but I mean, if you want to play the Spawn of Satan, it's up to you.
Yeah, well.
Don't let me judge you for it very, very harshly.
Thanks, Ethelros. I'm glad I have your support in my thief playing. But, yeah, it's actually a lot harder than I expected. I guess I'm just not super used to playing melee classes. I play my Necro most of the time, and I've been playing my Warrior a lot lately, but he's like a burn build Warrior, so I mostly just use Longbow on him. So I mostly just stay at range a lot. It's been interesting, though. So I did some PvP, and I also did some Silver Waste events, some Vine Wrath, with our mutual friend, Sarah, who I'm sure at some point will come on our show, because she's pretty cool like that. But I think that's about it. I think that's kind of all I've done. It was quite a news-heavy week. I didn't do a whole lot in game because of it.
Yep. I'm going to be busy this weekend, though.
Oh, yeah,
Lots
we are going to be...
to test.
So much testing. New Revenant Elite Specialization, the Herald to test. I keep forgetting the name of the Revenant Elite Specialization because it's so generic. The Herald. I saw
Herald.
a post about it, because I guess there was some bug and there's people were talking about it for the beta, and I was like, wait, what's the Herald? What is that? Oh, right, it's the Revenant Elite Specialization. Daredevil to test out. I feel like
Let's see if the Reaper's improved.
I am very interested to see that the Reaper is improved. I am very personally invested in the Reaper being good, not only because I am heavily invested, not only because I main a Necro, but because I am currently in the process of crafting the legendary Greatsword Twilight, specifically for my Necro to use as a Reaper. So if the Elite Specialization sucks, I am shit out of luck.
And gold.
And a whole lot of gold. Although, I guess I could just make it and sell it. But I feel like that'd be such a waste.
Much disappointment.
Yeah. So I think that's about it for our show this week. Any final thoughts, you guys? Or did we cover it?
I've made my peace.
You've made your peace. Alright. So this was our first episode, which is really exciting, and we really hope that you guys, stick around, listen to us, come check out our streams. You can email us any questions or you guys suck or whatever to contact@radiofreetyria.net. Our Twitch channel is predictably twitch.tv/radiofreetyria. We also have a Facebook page and a Tumblr and a Twitter. Again, all predictably Radio Free Tyria on all of those various sites. You can also follow the three of us on Twitter. I'm at Cithryth, which is spelled Cithryth. I always feel like I have to spell that because, I don't know, people have no idea how to pronounce it when they see it. Drac is at Draculetta_72, and that is DRACULETTA_72. And then, of course, there's Ethelros, and he is at Ethelros, which is ETHELROS. I spell these things out because I don't know. Maybe you're not near a computer and you're just on your phone. So you should,
Maybe you're named Braxwolf.
And maybe you're named Braxwolf, and you don't know how to spell any of our names, even though you've been podcasting with us for years. No big deal.
Oh, snap!
I don't think he's going to listen to this podcast. I don't think it's going to be much of a snap. Although, I guess we'll find out. You can also say hello to us in-game. I'm Cithryth.6741, Drac is Draculetta.7410, and Ethelros is Ethelros.3164. In the future, we're not going to list all this stuff because it's kind of boring, but you can go to our site, radiofreetyria.net. That's where we're going to be posting our podcasts and show notes, so links to all the news that we talk about and anything else that we think might be relevant to the show or whatever. And you can also find links to our stream there. There's also a really fancy, shiny countdown clock on the site to Heart of Thorns, so if you're into that, go check that out. We will be on iTunes and Stitcher, and of course, if you go to the site, there's an RSS feed. Obviously, at the time of this recording, we are not on iTunes or Stitcher because this is our first episode. Yay! So I think that is about it. So thank you all very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.